Welcome to the Julie Saillant podcast, the place to reconnect to your heart and live your soul purpose. This is where you will find inspiring information on how to reconnect to your heart, get into mind, body, spirit alignment, and step into your personal power. Together, we will hear messages from the sacred animal kingdom, discuss how to reframe success that works best for you, and learn to step into divine flow, allowing you to do what your soul came here to do. Thank you for being here. And now, let's tune in to today's show.
Hey everyone, Julie Saillant from Motivation Addict. I am thrilled today. I am so lucky to be doing a masterclass with my dear friend, Louise Birmingham. We are doing a class today on confidence and fear and riding and how that all connects to your soul and your heart and spirituality of both yourself and your horse. This is something that we're both so excited about because we've been wanting to talk about this for so long, and we really feel the time is right. So we've prepared some questions and we're going to answer them as best we can. And there's a lot of content here. So we're going to deep breathe and relax into it and have it be fun. And Catherine, I'm so happy you're here today.
Julie, I'm so grateful of you putting this together. Without you, we wouldn't have this platform, we wouldn't be doing this, and people wouldn't have the chance to get the information that we're going to hopefully provide. So thank you, Julie.
You're so amazing, Catherine. Catherine, you have had such an amazing background in the equestrian world. Would you give the listeners just a little idea of kind of what you've done and where you are now? So it's a lot, but kind of you just had so much good stuff happen to you.
My journey has been a long one, but to cut it very finely and very short for you all, I started off self-taught as a young child. There was some ponies that I was allowed to ride. I would go and ride bareback, learn, teach myself. Lots of falls. By the time I was 13, I was allowed to join Pony Club. I had a passion for dressage. By the time I was 19, I had been working professionally in Australia and left, then went to Germany. Worked very, very hard to make my way as a trainer myself. Eventually moved from Germany, was taken over to Japan as a coach there. Then I moved back to Australia and opened up my stables because my father had cancer. Then I closed that up, had a very big spiritual awakening, meditated, closed everything, went to Malaysia, then went back into the horse world, was a dressage coach for Singapore, Jakarta, large stables in Jakarta, Malaysia. And then eventually I have now met my current partner and we're living together in Italy and where I'm raising a little family. So that's in a nutshell of what I have done. But who I am is basically I do a lot of writing and healing work for people.
She does amazing healing work, by the way, everybody.
Oh,
and my background is that I'm an empath, intuitive. I was born this way. I speak to animals and they speak back to me. I do energy work and I help people find their soul and their true purpose by connecting them to their heart. And also with the sacred energy of animals, they help me and show me where people need to shift because we're all on our own journey and we're all ascending as best and fast as we can. So between the two of us, we have a lot of experience. And our first question is, and I proposed these questions to Catherine and she gave some amazing answers because I'm going to play the role for a little bit of the rider because I do have fear from a fall that I've been working through with my horse. And my first question was, how do I learn to trust myself and my horse after I've had a fall? And I know this is a big question, but let's start out with what your first thoughts are so that you can kind of give the listeners, if anybody's had an injury or a fall or has a fear around riding, how would they move forward with that?
Okay, basically, the first step to understand is that falls are a necessary part of our growth, especially with riding. So as Julie has explained, this is a very broad question. So I'm going to stand back a little bit and help you get a little bit of a larger perspective. What does help as well for you too is have a pen and paper so that you can not jot things down that may trigger something for you that you may need help with. And it saves you then having to go back and listen again later. Falls are there to help us with our awareness. Now, I've come from two backgrounds. Now, remember, I came from a background of where I self-taught myself to ride. I was left alone in a paddock to go after school and ride my bike, go and ride this pony. I had no bridle, I had no saddle, I had no helmet, I had nothing. I used to just jump on him. I watched Calamity Jane so many times at Doris Day. I loved that movie so much that I used to jump on him and pretend that I was going to the bar and then leaving off.
Aww.
A lot of falls, but this is where every time you're having that fall and you're getting yourself back on, you're getting yourself back on with a new state of self-awareness.
Okay.
So there's this building of awareness that happens that you don't get otherwise. Then I see the other background where the children are raised with helmets, ponies with the draw reins, vests. They can't move, they don't feel anything, they don't have anything, any kind of connection with the horse except grab, hold, stay on.
Right.
Which is, on the outside, it looks like it is safer, but it's actually more dangerous in the long run. Because the rider, instead of the child going through, getting their broken arm, getting their scratches, getting their falls, they later will have even more serious falls when they're getting to a higher level of riding, a more educated horse, a more dangerous horse, and they don't have the skills and the awareness to deal with that. My whole motto is boundaries with freedom. So you're giving yourself the freedom to expose yourself to learning, but at the same time, give yourself boundaries. So say, for example, you wanted to do bareback and get yourself connected bareback.
Yep.
Instead of jumping on bareback out in a paddock, free and open, get on bareback in a small round yard or in an arena. So you're giving yourself that freedom. Okay, I'm going to try and do this, but I've got myself boundaries so that I can explore with my freedom with the horse, but within boundaries. So the first part, I'm going to go over this again, is that falls are a necessary part of our growth. This is extremely important for you.
Which I never thought, I never believed until Catherine mentioned this to me. I just want to say that I never thought that a fall could be used as a positive tool, because I went into why did this happen to me? Why did my horse do this? Then is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with him? Now I'm really hurt. And it's down a rabbit hole of just disempowerment, victim, and completely frustration and all those bad things. I did not know that we're human, right? We riding horses, people do fall off. But I didn't realize that maybe it's for my own good.
And your horse knows this, and you as an animal communicator will know that as well. So once your mind is open to that and you start to connect with your horse with that, he will start guiding you and saying to you, come on, Julie, this is why this is happening. You're getting more awareness of, again, what I'm about to explain. The next thing is your own intuition and feel. You're getting more, not just more aware of your own balance and your own body with the horse, but you're starting to get more aware of your intuition and your feel, your own boundaries. Every time you fall off, there's always a split second before you fall off, a conscious awareness that you're going to fall. And there is a conscious choice to fall off. Now, I know this is hard to hear, and I have fallen off and been thrown off by young stallions in Germany hundreds of times. I have ruptured discs, I've got broken bones, I have been there. But once you come to that awareness, you get empowered by knowing that, because then you start to take back a step further back, and you start to get aware of that niggly feeling you have before you mount the horse that day. Something's not right. But instead of listening to the logical mind of saying, well, we've got to get on, we've got to train, we've got to work, you listen to it and you say, I don't think there's something right with this horse today. And this is connecting with your work, Julie, where you're starting to becoming more connected with the intuition of, well, how is my horse feeling today? This is not just about me getting on and riding. What is my horse needing today?
Right.
And in the professional world, this is very hard because horses need to be worked, need to be trained, money needs to be paid. So this is a necessary part of stopping, feel first and saying something is not right. I'm going to listen to that intuition. I'm going to listen to that gut feeling. And I'm going to work on that skill of understanding more of what my horse might be needing.
And with us too, right?
Yes.
Because I've had days where I always say now, I think of myself as a battery. If I'm lower than 50%, if I'm at like 40%, I don't ride on purpose, because that's when things happen.
Right. So you're aware of that. There's other things you can do. You don't always have to get onto the horse
Right.
in order to
Groundwork.
create that connection. Exactly. There's
Yeah.
groundwork. We are going to get into this later.
We will.
I don't know whether we will make it to that, but if we do, we will be doing it again later. But there's more to it than just avoiding it as well. And that's another question that I'm going to come up to. So if you are thinking, okay, well, if I'm going to get on, I'm going to fall, I'm not going to ride at all, that's just avoiding a growth. So there still is this important understanding of that falls are a necessary part of our growth, and they start to wean out the more that you have this self-awareness, the more that you have this balance, and the more that you have this understanding of your own body and your own ability of riding. So that's the process of it, is allow the times of falls, because they will eventually ease out after you've grown in your physical awareness, your balance, and your intuition and understanding of the horse.
It looks like you had a story of a fall in either German or Landata in Jakarta.
Yes. Now this is a longer story. So this story is about, I had the training years that I was living and working in Germany, I had a lot of falls. It was a very stressful time. I was breaking in a lot of young stallions, and it was also connected to a fear-based time for me, where I was younger, I was working very hard, I was considered the Australian bush rider. I had to work very hard to show up that I can ride just as well as you, give me the chance to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So after the years of being there, I did that. I made it to top rider of a very good trainer over there. And I was coaching and teaching his own riders and his own students. He is a fantastic man. Oh, I forwarded so many people onto him. He's amazing. But the thing is that all of these falls built me in my physical balance and my physical awareness. After that, probably there's a good 7 years in between that time where there's even more, nearly close to 10 years in between that time. I think I had a handful of falls. And I was riding young horses again at my training stables in Australia. I was riding some dangerous horses as well that people had sent there for training, but I had very, very minimal falls. Then I went through a couple of years with absolutely zero falls, nothing happening at all. But there was a horse that I was training in Jakarta. Now, I don't want to say too much about this out of respect for the people that I worked for. But the thing is, I had gone away for a week, and when I came back, this particular horse, that she was a huge warm blood, absolutely amazing horse, Holsteiner from Germany. She could jump a house. She was amazing. But they had decided to put her into dressage because she was extremely sensitive. Even though she was very big and very strong, she was very sensitive and very misunderstood. The day I got on her, and this is what I was talking about before, I was riding her around, and this is a mare that is usually very not forward, didn't like to go forward, was very insecure, had a lot of fears herself. But this particular day I got on, and she was electric, very electric, very forward. And to an onlooker, one onlooker was amazed. She came in with the camera, and wow, look at us. I just kept saying to her, I said, there's something not right with this horse. She's not right. And as I came around the outside, I went across the diagonal just to do a simple flying change, which is, the horse knows how to do them. There's no issues there for her. In the middle of the arena, as I'm asking for the change, this beautiful, magnificent being just exploded.
Oh.
Bucked in the air. And the stories I had been told of this horse was already in my head. I had known and been told that when she switches off, she will jump out of the arena, she will jump through the show jumping course, she will just take you. So I had in my mind already, okay, I need to be the one that is going to be logical about the situation, because my horse, she's not there anymore. She's not there.
Right.
So we went across the arena. I managed to turn her around at the end. But as we were heading up the long side of the arena, we're heading for the foyer end at the end of the arena that goes into where the bar is and everything.
Yep.
I thought she may end up in there, and that's going to be more dangerous for me and more dangerous for her. So as we were going along the long side, she did 3 huge bucks. And by the third one, I was already slightly unbalanced. And I thought, I'm just going to let myself down. I don't want to end up in the foyer, and I don't want to put her into that. I did. I fell down, did my roll. I don't wear helmets. I don't wear vests. I don't wear any of that stuff. And I did my roll, protected myself. I will go into that helmet situation subject in a minute. And as soon as she felt me off her back, she literally stopped, and I could feel she was panicking. She turned around straight at me, and the people in the arena, apparently when people had fallen in the past off this horse, she has spun around and kicked them and hurt them. But she's turned straight around to me, and the people were yelling and saying, no, don't touch her, don't touch her. And I just went, stop. I'm going to this horse. I went straight up to her because I had a strong connection with this horse. And I said, it's okay, Landetta. I understand why you did it. Don't worry. We're going to try again. Caught her straight away, did nothing. She was shaking. This poor horse was petrified. I could feel her telling me, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I knew she was upset. I got straight back on. We rode. I couldn't get her to canter again, but I'm going to continue that in the next story. I couldn't get her to canter again. But there's a follow-on from this. But got back on straight away and realized that she was more scared than I was. So this is important of understanding that falls are sometimes a necessary part, and I'm not the first one that will fall on purpose. If you're looking at a situation that is dangerous and you're thinking, okay, well, it's better for me to actually fall off than it is for me to stay with this horse right now.
Yes.
Half the time, once the horse feels you off the back, not always, but when they do, they will stop anyway as well. It's a shock for their system.
Yep.
The other story I wanted to share on this about falls is that another student that saw me riding another horse that, she was a very big warm blood, and she was very expressive, extremely expressive. So when she got scared of things, she would shy and jump and everything. This particular student asked me, she said, my God, how can you trust her? I said, it's not about trusting her. I trust me. Mm-hmm. I trust my abilities and my abilities of what I am able and capable of doing. And that's that whole part of that. You get that trust. You get that from falls, from all those falls that you have of every time you get back on you start to learn these boundaries. You start to learn, well, if I go there, it equals that. You get consequences that we don't get these consequences if we stay within a bubble of safety.
Right. That's so true. And she was probably in a state where sometimes they've just already shut down. So they're panicked, and then they go to shutdown mode, and there's really nothing you can do until, as you said, you get off or they stop. It's when we shut down, it's the same way. You can't really reason with us if we're shut down. And I've seen it with other horses, just they don't want to even be around a human if they're in shutdown mode and they've had some bad experiences. So I completely get this. But I have bailed a couple times, and then my horse just stops and eats grass and looks at me like, why are you down on the ground?
Lesson time, Julie. I can just imagine.
Like, really, Zeus?
Yes. Oh, goodness me. Yeah.
But I don't punish him because sometimes I've bailed. I've made that decision to get off. I felt uncomfortable with where we were, so I got off. That's not his fault. He's not being mean. He's not being dirty. he's not doing something because, that's negative. He didn't do anything wrong. So you can't punish them if you've made the decision to get off by yourself.
Okay, now I'm going to take a step back there.
Is that right? Do you think that's true?
Yes, but what you just brought up is perfect, because this is the mind frame that a lot of us get stuck in, where you said he's not being naughty, he's not trying to get me off or anything like that. That, even if he was bucking, rearing, trying to get you off, the labeling him of he's being naughty, why is he doing this to me? Yes. All of that is our victim state of awareness. Okay? So when you ride professionally and you ride a lot of young horses, every young horse that you get on, majority of them are going to try and get you off. Right. But it's not that he's being naughty or he's out to get me. It's just him being him. He's being a horse. Now, I wrote this in Ride for Life, that if you were on a horse that particularly is rearing that day, and you immediately label it and judge it as, oh, he's being bad, he's being naughty, he's rearing on me. Now, imagine that horse and you're in the middle of a film set for Zorro, and you're rearing and it's all cheering for the crowds.
It's awesome.
He's being good. He's being fantastic. Do you understand?
Yes.
The judgment of who the horse is only disempowers us, because it puts us in victim state. So instead of keeping us empowered and we are in leadership, partnership, growth, awareness together, we're doing this, it puts us in separateness.
Wow.
He is doing this to me. So anytime you take it personally of what the horse is doing, you've lowered your awareness to victim ego state. Okay, do you understand this?
Yes.
And that disempowers you.
Wow.
It disempowers you immediately, because you're no longer working towards the growth for you both. You're working towards the separation of you. You've created an enemy. Understand?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah. But I would say I've never met anyone who thought that way. Everyone thinks your horse is being naughty today. Or
not professional riders.
Wow.
Not professional.
So
there's a very big gap there, because when you've learnt professionally, you've learnt, well, how I learnt in Germany, not how I learnt in Australia, but when you've learnt professionally, you learn that it is never the horse's fault.
Wow. So I just want to make sure that I get this, because this is a big point, because so many amateurs,
yes,
included, we think our horses are our partners, right? 50-50.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we think, because we've been taught since that's a naughty horse. How many times have you heard that? I've heard that since I was this big, right? He was naughty today. How was your horse? Naughty. Or good, great. So judgment in humans is weakness, in my humble opinion. We are not supposed to judge other people. We're not supposed to be judgment of even ourselves, right? Let go of all that. We are where we are. We're on our own journey. And where you are is where you are, whether it's losing weight or spiritually or emotionally.
Yes, exactly.
So you're saying we shouldn't judge our horses either. Am I right on this? If they've had a bad day, can they have bad days?
Yes.
Like people, because they have bad days.
Exactly. There's days, he was really struggling with this work today, so we worked on something else. Or he was just a little bit unfocused today. She was in season. He was more focused on that mare over there. There's these different things that you will observe about your horse, and you will change your workout depending on their state that day. But it's not classifying them as good or bad. It's the same as children. It's not a naughty kid or a bad kid.
Right.
So it's that the parallels there are exactly the same.
That's a huge.
I know. Yeah. Oh, really?
For some of the listeners, because this is why Catherine's so good at this, because she's done so much professionally, and I don't have that skill set and those tools. So that's a big part, because what happens is when you go to that place of he was bad today, if I didn't get off myself, he threw me off, or something happened and he was naughty on the trail, whatever it is, he's naughty. Then now it's almost like we're the good guy and he's the bad guy, but yet he's still our partner. So it doesn't
exactly
like this, right?
Right. So that's where you've immediately created separation.
Right.
Now remember, the ego self lives in separateness. The ego self lives in the illusion of life. So this is where we get spiritual. So the ego self lives in I am a body, I am here, I am separate.
Okay.
You're separate to me, you're different. Whereas our soul state understands that we're all one. We're all connected. Everything it's love-based.
Right.
The ego state will always be fear-based. But again, fear can be used by your soul as well for your growth, or fear will use it to keep you where you're at. So we will get into that. I know that's
incredible. I'm just like, wow, that's just so amazing.
Another subject.
So great. All right, let me move on to the next question, because
yes,
this is a big subject, but I'm sure we're going to keep coming back to it, because we're talking about fear and confidence and how we interact with not only our own ego mind and our own love and heart, but how we speak to and understand our horses.
Yes.
And how we want to elevate this to a supportive and open communicative relationship.
Yes.
So this works perfectly, Catherine, into what kind of mindset do I need to achieve to actually kick fear to the curb? And what I mean by this is when I would, go to the stable, let's just say everything's going great and I'm tacking up. And then all of a sudden, maybe when I put the bridle on, I get nervous. Or maybe when I get to the mounting block, I know this is common. Just as you're stepping up there, it's like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, shit.
Yes. Yes.
So how can we change that and move away from that?
Okay.
And get back to the joy of riding that we love so much.
Oh, you know how that feels. Okay. Track back. Germany, lots of falls. Ruptured discs, surgeons saying you'll never be able to ride again. You have to stop professionally riding.
Wow.
So I went through a period of time where I was going through my healing stage physically. I was starting to get physically back to myself. But during that time, Joseph was allowing me to ride more of the older horses that were less of a risk of me getting thrown off again. Now, I was feeling good. I wanted to start riding the young horses again. It was a passion of mine. I loved teaching the young horses. So I wanted to start riding the young horses again, as well as the older ones. And I know this feeling that you're getting ready to start mounting, and you are literally shaking to your boots.
Yes.
Now, I was already an accomplished rider. I was already well-schooled, well-experienced. I was top rider of his stables. I was
professional. You're a professional rider.
Riding up to S level, but I was shaking in my boots. But my fear was not of being thrown off. I didn't have a fear of being thrown off. My fear was the consequences of what could happen if I was being thrown off, of not being able to ride again. Okay?
Yes.
You've got to go to the source of what your fear is. I wasn't afraid of falling off. I was afraid of what could happen. The possibility. Remember, fears are not real. They're never based on reality. My fear was, well, what if I'm not able to ride again? What if I rupture another disc and I'm not able to ride again? That's not reality. It didn't happen. Your most empowering thing that you can do when you are in that situation is focus. Now I'm going to explain what focus is. For me, I would talk to the horse as I was mounting. I would speak saying, I'm just getting on, we're just going to walk, we're just going to walk, we're just going to walk. And then I would get to the next part and I would be talking to the horse and say, okay, now we're just going to trot, we're just going to trot, we're just going to trot. Focus on one thing at a time. So don't start letting your mind run off into the future, because that's where fear and ego lives. Or the past, of what happened in the past when he threw me off last time. Be present and be in the moment, and that's focus. So be present and be in the moment, and you can do that simply by breathe, breathe, or pick yourself one task at a time. Mm-hmm. If it's mounting, I'm getting on, I'm getting on, I'm getting on, I'm getting on, I'm putting my foot over, even if you say it in your mind. I'm putting my foot over and focus. Then the next thing is focus on one task at a time. I've said this to so many riders. I've worked with so many riders with very deep fears. Get yourself on one task, 20-meter circle. We are riding a 20-meter circle, and that's it.
And that's
20-meter circle. We're walking. Now we're going to trot. We're trotting, trotting, trotting. Now we're going to canter, 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 canter. Now we're going to trot, trot, trot. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The focus is always about being present, being here, being now. Do you have something you want to ask about that?
It's all about, when what I teach and what you just said is basically true. So it's all about mindfulness, right? It's all about, they give us the grace and respect of being with us because they're solely always present. And that's what we have to do to them. So let's say, pretend that if I had a fall at a canter, my mind is immediately going right to that canter and I haven't even swung my leg over yet, right? Okay. I'm already up there.
Yes, yes.
So then he feels my fear, and then it's, now we're both like, that's not good. So as you said, you're just mindful, and I think slowing it down that way. So one thing I never do, I'm always holding my breath. I don't realize I'm doing this until the trainer said, breathe, Julie, you're not breathing. I'm actually bracing for impact, and I haven't even swung myself over yet. I'm holding myself still as I can, and I don't want to grip tight because I'm scared. And then I don't want my horse to know. So it's all the stuff in your head.
Right.
But physically, if you're saying just be mindful, and I always talk to my horse. I try not to talk too much because I know that chattering is not good. It has to be focused talk, which we can talk about later. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but I like the fact that you just say, okay, I'm swinging my leg over. I'm going to sit, and I'm just going, and there's nothing wrong, even if you're an accomplished rider, there is nothing wrong. I always say this, the best riders always go back to basics. There is nothing wrong with just getting on and saying, we're just going to walk the circle today. That's it.
That's the art of training.
That's the art of what we do.
Is basics. Exactly. You work on the ground, the basics.
Or groundwork.
Building blocks.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I want to take a step back on what you were saying there, because this is very important. That next part of focus is ownership of how you are feeling. Okay. Own the fear. So what you're doing when you hold your breath and you're staying tense is you're resisting against the fear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's important is to actually admit to yourself, own and accept, I'm feeling afraid, but I'm going to ride anyway. Yes. I feel very scared. You can even say to yours, I'm feeling very scared, but I'm going to get on. I'm going to put my leg on. I
have said that, and he does calm down. He gives me a calming signal, like, okay. He does.
Yes, he does. That's right. Now, and this is the reason why, which, again, you will understand this more than me, because the horse, when he feels a rider, is having a fear state in them, but they're in denial of it or resisting it. The horse feels a very strong disconnection in the rider. Yes. So they literally have two riders on them. Yes. That one's going this way and one's going that way. And the horse feels very insecure.
Yes.
Whereas when they have a rider that, yes, is feeling afraid, but owns that fear, the person has become present and has owned their own fear. And even though they're feeling afraid, the horse feels that they are one and says, okay, let's do this.
Right.
And that's with professionals and with amateurs. It is exactly the same. So it is this understanding, whether you are sitting on an educated horse or a young horse that you're breaking in, the horse will still feel a moment of trust. Okay, you're there, let's do this. Even though your heart is pounding, pounding, pounding. Your hands are shaking.
I've had that, yeah.
Yes, I've had it.
Like, your heart's like going to come out of your chest. It's like,
yes. That's right. And sometimes I would have it every day for 12 horses every day. This thing going. But you master yourself from it through owning it, not separating yourself from it. And holding breath is the first sign of you resisting it, resisting how you're feeling. You're trying to run away from yourself. And that's where own it first. So my constant saying is own how you are feeling. It's not a bad thing or a good thing.
Right.
Let go of the judgment on it. You are currently feeling a state of something, and it is important that you listen to that because it's teaching you something.
Right. And that's where you are. And horses do understand when you are incongruent. So when you are presenting yourself of, hey,
sorry, can you please explain to me what do you mean by incongruent?
So incongruent to a horse means, so there was a study done in Japan, and they took a picture of a human with a smiling face, and behind that they put the recording of them talking to the horse. You're such a good boy. We had so much fun today. And then they took the smiling face and put, "You're a naughty boy today," but the face is still smiling.
Okay.
The horses looked at that picture of it being incongruent and not in alignment 1.4 times longer. So
not in alignment.
When you are picturing, when you are coming up to your horse and you're shaking and you're nervous, but you're not admitting it, as you just said, it's just another word for saying what you just said.
I didn't understand that. Thank you.
They are seeing your facade,
right. Okay.
Feeling and understanding you're really shaking in your boots.
Exactly.
And so instead of admitting it and owning it, they see it as incongruent. This picture's not matching what I'm feeling.
That's right.
Your energy is not
exactly
real. And they know the difference.
That's right.
So you might as well just surrender and say, you know, sometimes I said, you know, I'm nervous today. I'm nervous today. Can you help me out? I mean, I'm nervous. I'm going to do my best, but and he just usually is like, just let's go, just relax.
Yes.
It's usually
Yes.
like, I'll take care of you. It's okay.
Yes.
Because they want to participate. They want to help us. These beings love us. And that's the basis of all of this, is that a lot of humans don't understand this. We think we're the ones that control everything. They're doing this. They're letting us do this because they want to participate and help us.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I've often said this, and I said it when I was young, because I had this empowering moment where I was thinking, you know, these horses, they're so big and they're so strong. Just with a swipe of their head, they could kill us.
Yes.
But they don't.
They don't.
No? So it's really understanding that it doesn't mean that allowing for abuse is okay, but what it means is understanding that when we are having these fears and we are having these problems, that show up, be true, be real, because the horse is there to help you with that.
Right. Right.
I really, from so many horses that I've ridden across the world, there is one thing that I can definitely say for absolute certain, whether you are a Grand Prix rider or whether you are learning to ride or what language you speak, what religion you come from, it is irrelevant. A horse much more prefers that you come there and be your truth, be who you are, than coming there pretending to be something that you're not.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. And that includes, which we'll talk about at another time, because this is a big topic, changing disciplines if your horse is not happy where you are. That's a big one we have to talk about next time. That's
okay, definitely.
All right. So, the other thing, Catherine, this is what I wrote down about this question, talking about kicking fear to the curb. And tell me if you agree with this. What you said about getting on in maybe the round pen, bareback. Boundaries. What I do is, as a human, if I know that my horse, say he would always get nervous around, he hates bicycles and motorcycles. And if there are workers and they have those big machines to cut the grass, he's noise sensitive. So he's expressive, and I try to take away anything in my field that will make us, I see as a potential problem. In other words, I was taught to ride by myself with my trainer. I don't ride with a lot of other people because I need room. That's just the way that's my comfort zone. That's all. So I try to not ride with other people. I try to make it after it's, he's eaten, I'm in a good state, I'm at 100% or 90%. So do you agree with that? It's a good thing to take out things out of your field that when you're riding or working your horse that could alarm them. And I'm not trying to be that person that wraps them in a bubble, but I'm saying that if you're in this state of nervousness, we're talking about not every day, because we have to expect them to be able to react and you have to overcome. That's life, right? Things happen. But if you're in that fear state, taking away the things that you can control that would make you and your horse nervous. Do you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, beautiful question, Julie. And this will be a little bit longer answer, and I'm actually going to use a point that you have in another question because I need to for this situation. I had a rider once who I was coaching that her horse was petrified of cats.
Okay. And
in the arena that we were riding in, there was the stable cat would always just pop up and sit on the side of the wall whenever this poor woman would go past. She was attracting it so much. But what we had to work on, my message to her was, it's not about trying to avoid the cat, okay? What you need to do to help you find that cat is there to try and help you become a better, wiser, stronger, more balanced, more focused rider. The cat is there as a wise master teacher to you. How you need to ride is every single stride around that arena, every single second, as though there is 100 cats in that arena. So when you go past that cat and you all of a sudden get focused, you ride, you stay there, you let's get past this cat, that's how you've got to ride all the time.
Every stride.
Every stride.
Heard that a lot.
Don't wait until there is a cat before you start riding, in other words.
Yes.
So yes, I do understand there are certain, again, as I said, freedom with boundaries before. So there is, give yourself training grounds, give yourself something that you feel, okay, well, I can handle this today.
Yes.
And when you start to feel stronger and you feel one area I'm feeling good in, start to build on that. Okay, well, now we're going to add the next thing. So coming back to that point, I don't see it as a good or a bad thing of taking away everything out of the arena. I see it as where are you at? What
Right.
do you need? And when you're ready and when you feel, okay, I can do a 20-meter circle with this horse and we're absolutely fantastic. We're trotting, cantering, walking, absolutely focused together. We're connected. We're great. Now let's introduce a witch's hat in there or something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Wait until you have a foundation. Wait until you have something and then start to build on it. Then start to say, okay, let's do this. For example, the mare that was very, very afraid and I fell off in Jakarta, I think we went for, I think it was 2 weeks where I could only walk and trot with her. And it was after 2 weeks that then I said, okay, we're ready now. I'm ready. I'm still feeling afraid, but we've got to canter. We have to do it. I've got to get you being able to canter again, and I have to go overcome that fear of asking you to canter again now. So yes, it is helpful to give yourself that boundaries of where you feel safe, to master feeling balanced and connected with your horse, and then challenge yourself, because without challenges, we don't grow.
Right. Right. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I have heard from somebody who was my dear friend in Connecticut, and she trained in Germany too, to ride every stride, Julie. In other words, don't be the passenger, because it's easy for us to get out of focus. Easy. You know, you might have that woohoo moment, everything's going great, and then you kind of get into automatic mode. And so you need to, she said, ride this horse every stride. I mean, just be present, be mindful. You're with him every single stride, so that if he does take a turn, you'll be able to better anticipate it and feel it because you're there. Because to catch up, that's the hard part. If you're here and he's really going, and then he sees something and you don't feel it, it's really difficult to catch yourself because you're like behind the 8 ball already, right?
Exactly. Now, this is where I'm going to bring us back to another point, Julie, because I feel this is very important, because we're sitting in safety zones all the time.
Yeah.
This is the part of where you just explained and you said you're not aware of what you're off in another world. And that's what you learn when you're riding professionally and you're riding young horses. You learn to focus. You can't be thinking about the next horse, what you're making for dinner, what somebody said to you. You have to be focused with the horse, and you learn that. You get trained from riding young horses, hundreds and hundreds of young horses, that you become focused. But a thing that happens, unfortunately, with hobby or amateur riders is that we've now started to lean on safety equipment, whether it's draw reins, whether it's helmets, whether it's vests. Without realizing it, you start to take certain risks that you wouldn't take because subconsciously you're thinking, oh, well, that will save me. Oh, that's okay. I've got my horse tied down. He won't shy at that. So you're not riding present. You're not riding connected. You're not riding focused, because subconsciously you're letting things slide because you know that, oh, well, that's going to protect me. They've recently done studies with this in the US for footballers, that helmets are not saving them from concussions. And it's all that's happening is that these footballers are taking worse risks that they wouldn't usually take if they weren't wearing all of this protective gear. So we're doing that within riding as well. We're putting more and more and more protective gear on ourselves and our horses instead of actually riding aware and riding within our boundaries, riding within what am I capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
So do you understand this? Where you hear a lot of amateur riders that have had a bad fall and they're preaching to the gods that everybody should be wearing a helmet. Why did you fall? Go back to that. What were you lacking in? Yes, horses sometimes get afraid of things and sometimes things happen. You're riding on roads. I know a lot of people in the UK, that's the only thing they can do is ride on roads.
Yes.
But again, what I'm saying is are you actually riding within your own capabilities, or are you riding within the safety net of all the equipment that is around you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a very controversial topic, and I know a lot of listeners are going to be riding in with a lot of things, but I will expand on that and I will answer everybody's questions.
Okay.
But we are, as a riding community, going deeper and deeper and deeper into fear, and then trying to protect and protect and protect more and more around us. You don't see Mongolians with protective gear. You don't see the Native Americans with protective gear. You don't see half of the young riders that I rode with years ago in Germany, and we had hardly any. Twice in my life, I have had a concussion from riding, and both of those times I was wearing a helmet.
Wow.
You don't realize it. You don't realize that you take risks that you wouldn't usually take if you were aware, I've got to protect my head.
Okay, I understand.
Big thing. So that we may have to go into that
We'll have to get into that because I'm in the opposite view of that.
What's important is that we remember that fear has a very, very, very large purpose in our life of our conscious evolution and growth. And so riding is one of those things that brings fear up.
Okay.
Okay. So riding
Absolutely.
is definitely one of those things that is bringing fear up, and it is up to us to take that challenge and to go rise beyond our fears. And falls are a necessary part of that. The only way that we can evolve and grow and learn from those things is through experience.
Yes.
Something one time is not going to teach us. It doesn't change our habitual behavior, and it doesn't change our beliefs.
Right.
It's through experience of that.
Right.
So it's important that we get these repeated situations. It's important that we get these repeated happenings with our horses. And again, what I just said before, trying to create safety things, whether that's safety in avoiding all the things my horse is aware of, or safety things that I'm not going to fall, or I'm not going to have this happen. We're just avoiding that awareness growth. And that's my strong message, is that whatever you're going through, sit within where you feel you are confident of approaching, and then slowly build yourself from there. But the most important thing to firstly understand is that fears provide growth, and falls help us grow in our awareness of who we are and what we're capable of doing.
And no judgment. Don't judge yourself and don't judge your horse.
Let it go. Yeah.
Just relax. It's part of the process.
Yes.
And
most importantly,
fear is going to be there. You're riding an animal that's, lots bigger than us.
yes.
And no matter if you've never had a fall or you're a professional, you're an amateur across all disciplines, this rears its ugly head. Fear rears its head no matter who you are, no matter how long you've been riding. You can be a newbie, you can be a professional, but it is something that's going to help you get stronger and better, and is for your growth. And it's a mindset shift, but instead of resisting it like I do and try to breathe through it and be aware of where you are, and then build around that, and do what you can to feel comfortable. Nobody's asking you to go jump a 5-foot fence if you haven't jumped at all, right? So don't go way outside of your boundaries and make yourself scared.
Exactly.
Stay where you feel comfortable, and then build on that, and then grow.
Yes.
Because the process is supposed to be fun, you guys. Like riding is supposed to be fun, right? That's why we got into it.
Absolutely.
So we want to bring the joy back to riding, and that's why we're talking about these fears. Because we're connecting, as Catherine says, the dressage with spirituality. We're connecting the horses, and they want to help us, and we want to make it fun.
You remember the days when we were young and we were we would crawl underneath the back legs of our horses. You know, we would slide off the back tails of them. We'd go swimming the dam and hold the tail of the horse in front of us. And all of these things, that's what horses are there for us as well. Whether you're doing Grand Prix dressage, show jumping, Western, whatever it is, there's still an element of fun, freedom, and joy with your horses. And that's what we need to work on. And that's why we're building up these fears.
Exactly.
These fears to overcome them.
To overcome them, to get back to the joy.
Yes. But when you get back to the joy, you are a greater being than you were before you had the fear.
Right. Because you've experienced and gone through something that has made you stronger, and your foundation has expanded.
Exactly.
Right.
And this is what I always say to people, young children that have no fear, they're doing things just out of pure fearlessness and just confidence, go. But they don't have awareness yet.
Yes.
After somebody has had fears, accidents, falls, things happen, and then they come back to that state of freedom, of going forward, they have this new awareness. They have wisdom.
Right.
Awareness and growth. And that's something that they didn't have when they were a little child still learning writing, and they didn't have any fears.
Right. Exactly. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this today. I have enjoyed this so much, and I love talking with Catherine. We have so many more questions that we're going to go through, and I would love it if you can share this. We are going to talk more. We're going to do another one of these because we have lots more to go through. And our goal is to have you find the joy in riding and the awareness and happiness of where you are without the judgment of you or your horse, and using the fear as the tool that it is and seeing it for what it is, which is for your growth and your expansion so that you're a greater and stronger being. And that will help you with horses and humans and yourself and in your own life. So thank you for being here, Catherine. This was so fun. We're going to come back again because we have a lot more to go over.
Yes. And please, everybody, feel free to put questions. We will add them. But
yes,
feedback is wonderful because we can't help you if we don't know what you're needing help with.
Yes, absolutely. So you can reach us both. We'll have all the links below. So thank you guys. Thank you for participating. We'll talk to you soon.